I would like to congratulate Karnataka Arts, Science and Commerce College BIDAR for organizing this one-day national conference on Indian English literature and nation, identity, culture and politics. Friends, the topic assigned to me by the organizing committee is of course very relevant to the title of the event. I am trying to tap the very first word after the colon, that is identity. And the topic of my presentation is the role of diaspora in shaping Indian women identity in literature. For another 1 hour or so, I'll be taking you to a journey on Indian diaspora. Altogether, these will be my key points of presentation, and probably by the end of this presentation today, you will understand what kind of identity Indian women have in Indian literature and parallelly the diasporic literature also. Friends, before I proceed, let us try to understand what exactly you mean to say by Indian diaspora. Because there are only few faculty members, those who are the teaching professionals here, and the rest are the students of either degree or PG colleges. So I think first of all you need to understand what exactly you mean to say Indian diaspora. There are a few statements that I made which are self-explanatory. Because unless you understand what do you mean by Indian diaspora, you will not be able to catch what exactly happens in the domain of literature, in the domain of Indian writing in English, in the domain of Indian diasporic literature. Whenever we happen to refer to this word diaspora, more particularly Indian diaspora, it actually refers to the collective group of people of Indian origin. But now you see how these people belonging to Indian origin are scattered across the world. And here the point comes, like you find all these people of Indian origin as we are the resident, domicile residents of India, right? But here, those who are abroad, those who are living in some different country in the world, they are known by these three titles. One, NRIs, called non-resident Indians. Second, the PIOs, means the persons of Indian origin. And the third, OCI, means overseas citizens of India. And here, once you understand this, parallelly please try to read out whatever I have provided over there for your clarifications. Because I may not be able to discuss each and every point in detail. These are all self-explanatory. The thing is, whenever we talk about altogether Indian diaspora, apart from the contributions of the citizens of India like us, we have the people living abroad but originally Indians. Whether they are carrying the Indian citizenship or not, they might have been permanently immigrated and settled over there by taking the citizenship of that respective country, whatever it may be. But by genes, but by DNA, but by blood, they are the Indians. And when they live abroad but still contribute for the building of this nation, that is more important. So if at all you really try to understand that aspect of their contribution, you will realize that they have a diverse contribution. See, I have been talking about this Indian diaspora as such and the contributions of Indian diaspora. Here, Indian diaspora, please remember all these 3 points: NRIs, PIOs and OCIs, right? So all together. So if you look at their notable contributions, you will find that they are into business, they are into academia, they are into technology, they are into politics, they are into arts. But my concern over here is all about literature. Because you have a number of authors, men and women, those who are called the diasporic authors, contributing to the field of literature, and their contribution is also very, very crucial in order to foster our own cultural values in the form of literary creations. So friends, based on this aspect, I would like to present some of my deliberations on this topic, and you will understand what exactly is all about the identity of Indian women as reflected in diasporic literature, right? So here I do remember one of the very famous hymns from Sanskrit, because that I happen to listen from my father every day, every morning, till the last moment of his life. He used to recite immediately after taking bath, and that was all. It is talking about actually 5 ideal women in the world as reflected in Sanskrit literature. Ahilya, Draupadi, Sita, Tara, Mandodari, Panchakanya, Smare Nityam, Mahapataka, Nasi. Probably you might have also heard it. But now the question is, why these 5 women are called Panchakanya? See, women or a woman and a kanya, I think there is the essential difference. Even though they were married in all these epics, especially the Ramayana and the Mahabharata, they are always mentioned as the Panchakanyas. But now the question is, whenever you happen to take the reference of the holy Ramayana, the first ever epic in the world, and the second one, that is the Mahabharata, you come across 2 characters. One, that is Sita, the wife of Lord Rama, next, and Draupadi, the Panchali. Why do I refer to these 2 characters in particular, whereas I talked about 5 characters? Here you will find that Sita symbolizes endurance, Sita symbolizes compassion, Sita symbolizes dedication, and Sita symbolizes monogamy. Whereas you have the another character, that is Draupadi, whereas she is so much determined to take revenge against those who oppressed her. See, there is a fundamental difference in the nature or the disposition of Sita and Draupadi. So if you really look into these 2 characters, you will realize that the people of our generation also have our own test. If at all you ask any man in the world, especially in India, what kind of woman do you expect? Okay, the answer will be only one, that I want a woman like Savitri or Sita. Why? Have you ever thought of it? Actually, whenever we talk about the modern feminism, I will not take the reference of European concept of feminism. Okay, probably European concept of feminism probably might have started from the Virginia Woolf and her writings and so on and so on. But we have the first lady over here, irrespective of so many oppressions or so much of marginalization that took but she never objected. And on the other hand, we have some other characters also in Indian literature, especially the Ramayana and Mahabharata, those who objected and took the revenge against. You will find that the feminism or the identity of women started from that point of time when the first woman asked for her natural right of being a woman. I hope you know, there was a time in India where polygamy was a common thing. But since the kingdom of Lord Rama, when he became the emperor, he declared one thing to the society. He expected from the society that we will initiate with a new standard in the social setup, where we will equally treat women as the men are. And that's why we call Lord Rama the Purushottam. Purushat Uttam means Purushottam. This sort of thing is there. Who always gave respect and equal status to his spouse, Sita. But here, whenever we talk about Indian literature and Indian social ethos altogether, we find that women are worshipped in different forms. If you talk about the deities, you have Parvati, Saraswati, Lakshmi. In all these forms, the female deities are there. But when you look into the society, what kind of scenario is there? See, I will not get into any personal affairs, neither of mine or nor of yours. But look at the society. We have predominantly male-dominated society. We have, irrespective of your own identity today. Whether you are a working woman or you are a homemaker, whatever role you are playing, you have to admit that you are dominated by a kind of social and family setup in which male is a dominating personality. Maybe in any form. Maybe in the form of father, brother, okay, spouse, husband, whatever. And that has to be accepted. But is it the thing that it happens across the country? I will not talk about the world, I will talk about the country only. See, there are a few areas, especially the coastal of Andhra Pradesh. You have the Naidus, you have some of the scheduled tribe communities, you have some of the communities in Bengal, that is West Bengal. You will find that matriarchal society is also equally dominant as we have in the rest part of the country, the male dominated societies. Now I come to a small conclusion of this particular point, that woman can be seen in two different forms. One, the oppressed, okay, and another, the oppressor. Mind it well. If you are given the opportunity that now you are going to take over the home and you will be the whole and sole authority of the home, I am damn sure, because most of the girls are here now, including women, you will definitely start dominating the home. And all males will be oppressed under your authority. I hope you agree with this. And that's very natural. Anybody who is getting the authority, he will try to exercise the authority. Suppose ma'am is going to be the principal of a college tomorrow. Of course, she is very genuine, very good, extraordinary teacher in the class. Okay. She is very amicable as if now. But once she occupies the chair, she will have her own administrative ideas and she has to exercise her authority if I am not going to follow her. Suppose I am her colleague, working under her authority. What will happen? If I don't follow, she will exercise the authority. She has to, in order to get the task done. Same thing happens. And it's a natural instinct whether it is a case of a male or a female. Once you get an opportunity, you you try to dominate, at least you test once or twice how to control the things, how to be the remote control, and that happens everywhere in the society. So these things we need to understand. But one more thing I would like to say, but who struggled hard, who strived for the sake of women? It is the man. Okay, you might have said that I want freedom, I want equal rights, I want status in the society. Probably several women in the history might have proclaimed, might have asked for. But here, if you go back to the history of our country, I will take you to Raja Ram Mohan Rai first. There was a very horrible kind of practice in India. What was that? Sati Pratha. How many of you know about Sati Pratha? The tradition of Sati. Sati means, if at all she is going to lose her husband forever, it means her husband is going to die for any reason. The live lady, the spouse of the dead body, will sit on the pyre, okay, and all other people will have big sticks with them, the bamboos, so that she should not run away from the pyre, and she will be forced to get totally flamed over. Can you imagine? If you ask a small child, please don't go there, there is a flame, the child will continue to go till he or she gets the first experience. Later on, just imagine a live lady is sitting on the pyre in the great company of the so-called husband who expected her to be Sati. If at all the wife dies, the husband sat on the pyre for the love of his.
Two types.
Okay.
One is over soil change
Yes. Yeah, of course. See, if at all you are doing it willingly, it's a kind of suicide. Okay, I agree. Like either it is forced by the society or the members of the family that you should go. Okay. Otherwise, somebody will do willingly. Just go back to the history again, the story of Savitri. When her husband died, she didn't go. She went to Yama, challenged him that he should restore the soul of her husband. So that's why I said, if at all you ask any male in India what kind of wife or spouse you expect, he will always say either like Savitri or like Sita. No other fact. So this is the thing. So here, when you get into the literature now, please proceed. Go to next. When you get into literature, what kind of portrayal of women is found in diasporic literature and in Indian literature as well? These are some of the points that I got it or collected from diverse reading. See, as a matter of fact, women are always presented like she is a suffering one, or else she is in predicament, lots and lots of wrong things are happening with her. That's a sort of destitute identity is created. Maybe the authors might have seen that kind of scenario in the society. In the morning session, Sir has already talked about it, what is literature. But on this occasion, I remember R.J. Rees. Literature is nothing but mirror to society. But I would say, little beyond that, literature is not only mirror to society, but society also equally relates and reflects in literature. What happens in society is being written by the authors, and whatever is written by the authors, sometimes it happens in society. So it's a reciprocal kind of relationship between literature and society. So whenever you talk about the portrayal of Indian women, you will identify that woman or woman's identity is always presented as if she is most insecure identity in the society or the family, or else her identity is always challenged. And most of the things you will realize in all sorts of literature, okay, you will find that she is suffering with a dependency syndrome kind of thing. What is that dependency syndrome? See, some women here you find those who are self-reliant, self-independent, having their own earning. They are standing on their own. Probably you may remember one of the very famous songs by Amitabh Bachchan. लो भैया हम अपने पैरों के ऊपर खड़े हो गए. What do you mean by पैरों के ऊपर खड़े होना? Not like this, मैं physically खड़ा हूँ, ऐसा नहीं. Standing on your own means having your own sources of income. You are relying on your own, and plus you are also taking up the responsibility of your family members. In that particular point of view I am talking. But why does a woman in India or Indian society suffer? One of the reasons is she is suffering with the dependency syndrome. Before marriage she is depending on the father, and if at all she is not working anywhere and she is just a homemaker, she will be depending on her spouse, that is husband, and if at all something goes wrong, she will be relying again on brother. That will be the additional responsibility of the brother to look after her. So throughout the lifetime, if she is relying only on the male, so she becomes a kind of woman who is carrying that syndrome called dependency syndrome. She forgets her own identity. Don't you think in this way? So many girls are sitting over here. You know, you should take an oath today. Whatever may happen, I will stand on my own. That's all. I will be having my own handsome earning. Yes, please.
Sir, even after becoming independent, they have to always consistently seek validation for their own self-worth. Even after becoming independent, it's not like
Rightly said. But there is still some difference. If you ask, after the session you ask these ladies this same question, ask them to compare with someone who is totally depending on the male in the family, and these ladies, those who are having their own earning in multi-lakhs, there is a difference. To some extent, the domination already right in the beginning I told. Okay, every woman, whether she is standing on her own or she is depending on other males in the society, she will be a simple victim of the male domination. That is the fact of life. Okay, and it is happening across the world, not only in India, because human societies are predominantly male dominated societies, except a few. Already I gave the references of a few. So here we need to understand that when it is happening in the society itself, don't you think that it reflects in literature, as I said, or your Arjeris already said? So this fact or this point you need to take into consideration while identifying the portrayal of women in literature, and while identifying whenever you question the status of a woman, there will always be another question about the status of a man. You cannot simply dissociate women from the society and say that yes, on your own everything will stand. Because whenever you define what is a human being, I hope you know the calculations of anthropology, that 1 plus 1 is equal to 1. Already I referred the calculations of anthropology. You forgot that one. You did not pick up my word. When you speak in terms of anthropology, just yesterday we celebrated Mahashivratri. Okay, you might have seen the image of Lord Shiva in the form of Ardhanareshwari. What is that all about? See, nature has not created neither the male nor the female in isolation. The nature has created human beings in two forms. The half form is the male and half form is the female. That's why that anthropology says 1 plus 1 is equal to 1, means one man plus one woman is equal to human being. You cannot define human beings in the absence of any of these two. So this you need to understand. So I think I need not discuss or I need not say that there should be equal status to men or equal status to female. Nature has already created that way. But we, the so-called male dominating societies or the followers of male dominating societies, we exercise because nobody wants to lose power. What is the reason behind that? Nobody wants to lose the power. And that is the reason that neither the women, those who are living in matriarchal societies, and nor the male, those who are living in the patriarchal society, nobody is ready to lose the power. So both are responsible. Can I make only the male responsible or the female responsible? Both are responsible in their respective societies. So this sort of thing is there. And whenever you talk about the status of women, you will realize that, okay, traditionally, we carry with a conservative view that female or the women are weak. We have a typical notion of our own. Is it the fact? Is it the fact? So here the thing is how to tune the mindset, not of one again, both male and female. Because here you are claiming or we are claiming that there should be the equal status of women in the society. But what is actually happening? The last statement you listen here or read here, prone to injustice, suffering and exploitation. So here you will find that not only literature but in real time society also, women are prone to injustice, suffering and exploitation. And this exploitation is not happening for the day. This is happening for generations together and millenniums together, because women are systematically marginalized by the male. Mind it well, what I am saying. Very responsibly I am making this statement. Women are very systematically marginalized by men, because on one hand we pray you as a deity, as Lakshmi, as Saraswati, as Parvati, and on the other hand you are easily prone to injustice, suffering and exploitation. Don't you think that this is a contradiction? Okay. Yes.
So I think the whole idea of worshipping women as goddesses, it undercuts or kind of contradicts their human world. Because then we stop seeing women as who they are exactly, with their sexuality, with their follies, with their issues, and we just see them as goddesses or something to be looked up to. And when you do that, we just don't see them as human beings anymore. So it's kind of
Yeah, see, okay, fine. See, it happens. But may I ask you a question? All of you, please try to understand that and answer that also. Whether the religion came first or men and women? Whether the God came first or the men and women? See, the moment I asked you whether we came first or the religion, okay, you spontaneously answered the correct one, okay, but the moment I switched over to the gods and goddesses, you got fumbled. Why? Why? All the incarnations are mentioned in the religion. Once you accepted that the men and women came, means we came first, right? If you go through anthropology, around Homo sapiens or the post generations of Homo sapiens, they came into existence in this erect form, standing form, around 60 to 70,000 years only, that's it. Which is the oldest religion in the world? That is not my cup of tea actually for this day, but still I ask you. Christianity came into existence 2025 years back, correct? Islam came into reality around 1400 years back, fine. And then you talk about Buddhism 2500 years back, Jainism same, Sikhism around 700 to 800 years back, and the leftover religion that you talk about is Hinduism. If I go to the pre-Vedic period, okay, how many years can I go back? 5,000, 10,000, 15,000. Okay, you take the advantage, you go up to 20,000 years. But a human in this form came into existence before 60 to 70,000 years. Then who came first? Religion or human? Human. Then who brought the religion, the concept of religion? We. Then who created the God? So here, I am not denying the presence of God. I am not denying. How many of you have pen or paper with you all? Okay, write down something that I say. All are the letters, don't worry. I am not taking your test at all. Since this topic has come for the concept of religion, I need to clarify a few things. I strongly believe in the presence of God. Okay? I am not atheist, I am theist, to be very clear. Still, write down. Some letters are there. Okay? Without giving any space, write down. GODIESNOWHERE. सब जन लिख लिए GODIESNOWHERE. वाचा याला. नाव याचा विग्रह करा आणि वाचा. सॉरी, गॉड इज नाव हिअर. थोडं बरोबर वाचा. अरे हे कुठून आलं? सी गाइज, this is all your perception. If I deny the presence of God, God is literally nowhere. And if at all I am theist, I will say God is right now here in every, even smallest of the small particle. We assume that there is the presence of God. So these are the things. So miss, you might have got my explanation for this, and now you go for further interpretation. You will realize what exactly I mean to say, right? So the thing is, whenever you talk about the status of women in Indian society, mind it well, it is always under question. But I would like to say, whenever you are keeping or you are putting the identity of women under question, at the same time, the identity of the man should also be kept under question. And then only you can expect a kind of society that will really, happen. But now, my concern is not to talk about all that. This is all just to create a kind of supporting atmosphere for my talk today. This is my concern. Because I have taken up a topic to talk about the identity of women, okay, as reflected in Indian diasporic literature. I can tell you hundreds of examples from all these many authors, those who are called Indian diasporic authors. Okay? So here you look at that. Right from Amrita Pritam to Nayantara Sahgal or any more you can add on, no problem. You will find that all these women authors have immensely contributed in creating the identity of women, not only in India, the identity of Indian women across the world. Because most of them are the best sellers in the world. Their books, their novels, their plays, their poetry, okay, is being circulated across the world, and they are the bestseller authors. Lakhs and lakhs of copies are being sold. The people do read it. So that has actually created the identity of Indian women, not only in India, it is already there, we know, but it also created the impression and identity around the world. Please go to the next. Here you will find, I'll take a few selected examples of a few authors and their contributions, so that you will realize what is what and what is going to happen in literature, and how to really look at with a critical perspective towards Indian diasporic literature. Right? Here you see, I'll take the example of Anita Desai. What kind of woman she has created in her literary world. So whenever you find Anita Desai, see, Anita Desai actually created a kind of emphasis on the women identity, but while describing or while creating women identity in her novels, she has given you the impression of outer and inner reality. Don't you think that a kind of dilemma always goes on in our mind? What happens outside and what happens within the mind? So that feeling of insecurity, going outside alone, don't you think that disturbs the woman? It always disturbs them. Likewise, whenever you look at the literary creations of Anita Desai has explored the world of woman. Of course, woman is the protagonist of most of the novels written by Anita Desai. And when she created these protagonists, these heroines, being the predominating role of that particular one, she has depicted the inner world, what actually goes on at the psychological level of the female character, central female character. Once you go through these novels, you will come to know the dilemma of a woman. You will come to know about the insecurity, the feeling of insecurity of that particular character. And mind it well, it is not the case like only for the sake of character. Don't take it as a character. She is symbolizing the society. Whenever she is creating a character, that character is not just the literary creation of her mind. That character is actually the reflection of society. Those who are the people immigrated and living in some other country, other part of the world, they are the victims of the sense of isolation and alienation. What sort of isolation, what sort of alienation they have? Once you go away from your roots, once you go away from your belonging, once you go away from your culture, you start feeling that I am missing out something. In the morning session, sir has already talked about culture. But before I proceed with the kind of description, the kind of portrayal that Anita Desai made, I would like to define culture in my own ways. See, what do you call this culture in Hindi? You call it Sanskriti. Right? What do you mean by Sanskriti? Anyone can define this particular word Sanskriti. I'll define it in a very simple manner. संस्कार युक्त कृती म्हणजे संस्कृती. Your entire existence, your entire life, whatever you are, whether a man or a woman, you do several things in your life. You act in your own ways. You follow your culture, you follow your religion, you follow your lifestyle. You are the part and parcel of a community. You are the part and parcel of a society. So that becomes your identity as a whole. It means all these cultures teach you sanskaras. No culture will teach you to follow Saturn. Is there any culture in the world that instigate to follow Ravana, to follow Duryodhana, to follow demons, to follow Shaitan? Not at all. See, you find or you come across several cultures, several civilizations, and so many civilizations do follow some or the other religion. Okay? Because religion is also the integral part of your culture. You cannot dissociate religion from your own identity. Okay? In South Korea and North Korea, some people are there, those who don't follow any religion at all. Fine, let them be there. Okay? But the thing is, when this religion is the part of your culture, and each culture teaches you certain kritis. Kritis means action. And they are always sung. Sun stands for Sanskar Yukta Kriti, Manja Sanskriti. Got it? This is how is the definition. So whenever you look at Anita Desai and her thematic concerns, you will find that the lack of warmth in marital life, that becomes the core of her writing. Now the question is, are we happy in life? Those who are married, are you happy in, into bracket, married life? Well, no, nobody will answer this question. Okay, because satisfaction is all a mental state, right? This is all your own calculation to look at the things, right? So I'll tell you how to be happy in life. What I follow personally, not for the sake of stage only, to exercise the same in life. Okay? What we are supposed to do is look at the person below your line while living life, especially in the materialistic point of view. What is materialistic point of view? पैसा है, AC है, कार है, घर है, बंगलो है, ये है, वो है. Don't look at somebody who is the upper class. Look at the lower class than you, so that you will be happy. I have a cycle, okay, उसके पास नहीं है, मेरे पास है, I should be happy. मेरे पास घर है, because उसके पास नहीं है, झोपड़ा है, मेरे पास RCC का है, I should be happy. Likewise, whenever you start comparing, especially for the materialistic point of view, please compare with the people of the bottom line, lower line, and when you perform, जब अपने कर्तव्य पूरे करते हो ना, maybe professional or personal at home, domestic, when you perform, always look at somebody who is above your line. Then you see what kind of life you are going to live. While performing, when you look at somebody who is above your line, you will always be performing higher and higher, and you will attain, I'll not say like you will attain perfection, but at least you will move towards perfection. Whether you are a student or a professor or working in any other company, wherever you work, whatever that you do, you always think about somebody at the higher level, so that you will be constantly, upgrading yourself, improving yourself or developing yourself. So this approach is necessary when you really want satisfaction in life or happiness in life, right? So now just come back. Here Anita Desai is Anita Desai is the author who talks about the issues related to families. Of course, without issue there is no family. Issues are always there. So many burning issues are also there. You have the intricacies of human relationship, right? We are all living our own family life. Those who are not yet hampered by spouse, they are living their own life, and those who are hampered by spouse, they are also living their life. But the question is, the word hamper, how many of you know the meaning of hamper? How many of you know the meaning of a hamper? What is hamper? Okay, once you go back home, please check it in the dictionary and then understand what exactly I am trying to tell you. And that's why the people always, come into the glitches of life and they start interpreting so many things. Okay, go to the next one. So this is the world of Anita Desai. Now you look at some of her writings, right? When Anita Desai writes about women, or she is always creating woman as a central character, here you have the very famous contribution by her, that is Cry the Peacock. Maybe it may be to your syllabus or it may not be. But the central character in that novel is Maya. The whole plot, the entire action rotates only around Maya. And the name is also very catchy, Maya. You can interpret it in your own ways, right? If at all any girl is having that name, sorry to say. But this Maya faces so many psychological problems. Now the question is, why do you face a problem? Do you think that you create a problem for yourself? Of course not. We are not the problem child. I hope you know about the term problem child. Okay, we are not the problem child. We are the common, ordinary men and women. So this Anita Desai, in her novel Cry the Peacock, she created a character called Maya, and she always faces the psychological problem in her life because she cannot cope up with the practical world, especially that of her husband. अब कौन है प्रॉब्लम का सोर्स? Okay, if at all some other character is created who is a male character and always oppressed by the wife, then who will be the source of distress and suffering? The wife, right? It is already vice versa. So I have taken only the characters who are the women's central characters in these novels. So of course you will find that it is going only in favor of women and against the favor of the male. It's not like that, but I have taken the topic like women identity. Okay, what is my point here? What sort of women are being created by all these authors, especially female authors, and in their own literary world. So you will find that this female character is very, very emotional. If you are practical, you will adjust with the situation. Mind it well. One thing I would like to tell you from this platform. If at all you want to live happy life, one more tip, follow it. Unless you compromise, you cannot live a happy life. Small. Okay, don't totally change yourself for the sake of happiness. You have your own ethical values, your own framework of life. Live within it. Don't allow anybody to enter and don't just exit from it also. Right? But we need to learn how to make very meager, small kinds of compromises. And whenever you define life, life is nothing but a compromise. And here probably this Maya forgets how to adjust in a new family, in a new home. After marriage in our society, okay, a girl who becomes newly married woman, right, she forgoes everything that she belongs to. Only for name's sake, everybody is there, everything is there. But there is a transition, there is a transformation of her identity, right? Shifting from one family to another one where all are new. Okay, all are new. She does not know how to get adjusted with the new surrounding, new people, new mindset, new values, new culture, because every family has its own culture. Their own, stands are different. So here, this Maya is unable to cope up with the practical world of her husband, and probably her husband has created his own values that he imposed upon Maya. See, imposition is always accepted without willingness. If I impose something, okay, on anybody, some may accept if like, or otherwise some may reject. But here, this Maya is very emotional, and that's the reason that she feels that she is getting hurt. She is not given any priority and preference. Everything goes against her will and wish. Okay, so this sort of happening in her life create a very miserable condition in the family itself, where she cannot tolerate, and finally what happens? She feels a kind of isolation and a dejected kind of life, and later on she is totally demoralized. So do you think that only one reason is there for making her demoralized and totally dejected and isolated? No. There is a sequence of happenings in her life. One or two you may anyhow tolerate. One or two you may anyhow compromise. But if something is constantly happening that does not go to your interest, and nobody is even going to understand what your feelings are, what your emotions are, naturally you feel isolated. Who is the nearest one when a girl marries and comes into a new family? Who is the nearest one for her? Only one person. That is the husband. But he is not going to consider, then the thing is, she will only question one thing: how long shall I cry? Correct? How long shall I cry? Altogether for womankind, how long shall we cry? And this is even today, these conditions are there, but in few extents, you will realize that they are also depicted in the world of literature by so many authors. Go to the next. See, I'll skip, some other examples of Anita Desai. I'll go to some other author. Because, if I continue, I need 2-3 hours. I don't know how much time I need. But I have some time constraints also as imposed by the organizer. So that is the imposition. I'm not sure how far I'll be able to justify by skipping all these topics and areas. Go to the next slide, please. Yeah, please wait here. See, I'll conclude Anita Desai on this slide. See, these are the characters, the literary creations of Anita Desai. You have Bimla in Clear Light of the Day, Maya in Cry the Peacock, Monisha in The City, Nanda in Fire in the Mountain, Sita, okay, not Ramayana Sita here, okay, Sita, Where Shall We Go This Summer? These are some of the novels written by Anita Desai, but here I would like to quote what Anita Desai said. That is more important for me. Okay, this is the direct observation of the author herself. What she says here, I don't think anybody's exile from society can solve any problem. I think the problem is how to exist in society and yet maintain one's individuality. Please highlight on this. One's individuality rather than suffering for a lack of society and a lack of belonging. What do you understand from this statement made by Anita Desai? See, without problems, you cannot expect life. Right? Life is nothing but, what is life? In the biological terms, if I define life, life is nothing but the point of time of birth leading to the point of time of death. The span that you get is called life. That's it. You may not find such kind of definitions in dictionaries. Okay? I am damn sure about it. Neither the Sanskriti, Sanskari Kriti, and this one also. But the thing is, when you live your life, beginning from the point of time of birth, leading to the point of time of death, okay, whatever span that you get, you come across so many people, you come across so many situations, you come across so many ups and downs, you come across so many situations that actually disturbs you. And especially in case of women, the density or intensity is more. So here you need to understand one thing, that what Anita Desai says, don't just follow what happens in life. If you face it, if you stand against it, and if you keep yourself on your own, you will be able to solve the problems of life. But here we have a kind of concept. Pati Devo Bhava. Okay. My husband is the only one in the universe, and I dedicate, surrender my life only for the sake of my husband. Whatever good or bad he does, that is immaterial, because I have dedicated everything for him. This sort of feeling, he जे feeling आहे ना, हे feeling पुरुषांना encourage करते तुम्हाला oppress आणि dominate करण्यासाठी. कोणाकोणाला मराठी कळतं इथं? So many are there. Got it? So I am not instigating women to go against men. Today my daughter is celebrating her 22nd birthday. Okay? I dedicate this presentation to her. And that's why I have taken up this topic. See, the last statement which is made by Anita Desai is, yet maintain one's individuality. Create your identity, stand on your own, be financially stable and on your own, and then always face the hurdles of life. So many hurdles are always there. Either they are created, or else by circumstances, by coincidence, they are happening, whatever it may be. But you have to face it. And if you run away from your responsibilities, then okay, fire is ready to go sati. It is your choice. Don't blame the men that you are responsible for my misery and for my suffering and all that is happening in my life. But the characters created by Anita Desai are saying so. That who is responsible for their suffering? The male. Okay. So here it is her own personal stand, and that is the message that Anita Desai is trying to give you in her writings. Go to the next. See, you have another very interesting author. I hope you might have heard about Shashi Deshpande. See, there are several contributions by this lady also. She is a renowned bestseller. She is a renowned bestseller in the world. If you talk about the book published in 1983, right? That time we were in schools and you were nowhere. Roots and Shadows, that actually projected very much objectively a new female phase with subjective experiences with a geocentric vision. See here, this identity of women is very important in diasporic literature. What is a subjective experiences? Can anybody tell me what is subjective and objective? MA English, those who are studying MA English, please raise your hands.
Subjective refers to the person's individual aspects. When it comes to objectives, it is equal to others. It is about the person.
Not related to person, but to certain other object.
Yes.
Okay, fine. See here, this is the shift in the writings of Shashi Deshpande. Okay. Because the kind of creation of women identity that you found in Anita Desai, and here in case of Shashi Deshpande, you will realize that the more prominence is given to the subjectivity, the individuality of the woman character created by Shashi Deshpande. Here she reflects, of course, on the problems and the concerns of the middle class Indian woman. Does it mean that the only middle class have the problem and other people don't have the problem? It's not like that. The characters who are created or which are created by the author, they belong to that particular middle class. What is middle class? Can we define? Means you cannot say I have, and you cannot even say I don't have. This sort of situation, when we experience, it means we are in the middle class. It's a very critical condition. Because for the identity of the family, for the respect of the family, okay, father is not allowing you to go outside and ask for something. And mother is not in a position to feed you fully because she has her own problems. See here, this middle class is created, or middle class woman is created by Shashi Deshpande, and she has given a different identity called a subjective experiences and a geocentric vision. Geocentric vision in the sense, geographically, cultural values are differing. One of the English poets says, old order changeth yielding place to new. Okay, whatever is old, that will go to the past, it will become the past. Today's new will take the place of the yesterday's past, means today. And of course, today's new will be tomorrow's past and old, and something new in future will take the place of it. So old order changeth, yielding place to new. So here, this sort of thing we need to understand in the context of geocentric identity, that every culture, as Sir has also discussed in the morning, that every state has a language, okay? Every state has its own cultural values, civilizational touch, okay? And religious interpretations are also different. One example given by Sir in the morning is Prakash Sir, right? Prakash Sir, he said that in the north of Karnataka, the elder brothers and elder brothers touch the feet of the younger sister. Okay, but in our locality, in our region, we don't allow to touch the daughter, the feet of the father and even others. See, cultural values change, interpretation changes, and our behavioral practices, or as you call krati, that krati also changes. So here, when you talk about Shashi Deshpande, this Shashi Deshpande has created several female characters or central characters having the quest for her own selfhood. See, this is the search for identity. Who am I? Have you ever asked this question to yourself? Who am I? Or what am I? What is my identity? Who am I? Where do I stand? What are my positives? What are my negatives? How do I strengthen my personality? Have you ever asked this question to yourself? Ask it once. Unless you respect yourself, no other entity or person will respect you. Got it? Unless you have your own ethical values to live life, you will not be identified specifically by others for your own features, for your characteristics. So this is all correlated. And this effort has been made by Shashi Deshpande in her novels, when she has created different characters and she is trying to give a kind of authentic selfhood touch to the characters created. You have Jaya in that particular novel called That Long Silence. Okay, Jaya's public and private realms of experiences are different. There is predicament in life and her agonized feelings as a housewife transforming her as a creative writer. See, the lady who is living a very pathetic life in the family, but the same experiences she is putting on a piece of paper and publishing her experiences, and later she becomes a creative writer. So here we need to understand that all these characters are created by these authors with an intention to portray the identity of people. Got it? So likewise, there are hundreds of examples that can be given over here on this platform. And I think, but due to time constraints, I may not be able to discuss so many that I identified. Slowly go ahead. I am skipping it because of the time constraints. I may not be able to justify this topic in 1 hour. Impossible. This is the presentation, or this presentation or topic needs minimum 2 to 3 hours to give proper justice to the topic. Right? Wait. Now, this is the conclusion of my presentation. Whenever you look at the portrayal of women and the status of women in diasporic literature, right? You come across these 3 types of women characters. One, the first belongs to the protagonist mother. You always imagine, what kind of mother do you expect at home? Again, there is a problem with the women and men both. So here, the first type of woman that you find in diasporic literature is the kind of protagonist mother. Yeah. So we have the identity of the mother, and that traditional woman is created who believes that, already I told about it, her place is at the feet of her husband. Second type of woman. Second type of woman is bolder. Already you got some examples in between, right? But I skipped a few slides there. Who is very bold, just like Draupadi, more self-reliant, right? She is rebellious. She tolerated whatever happened in her life. Sita tolerated. Her point of tolerance was very, very high. Not possible for all of us. But whereas Draupadi, she was rebellious by nature. If at all somebody is injustifying me, I will take revenge upon. She took an oath that unless you provide the blood of Dushasana and Duryodhan, I am not going to tie my hair. That's it. Similar kind of oath was also taken by Chanakya. So that shows, just to make you aware of your determination. Whatever decision that you have taken up, it will remind you again and again to complete it, to fulfill it in the course of time. So that way the things happen. And here you have the another kind of woman created in the world of diasporic literature, that is the rebellious kind of woman. She cannot conform to mythological, submissive and surrender kind of vision of womanhood. She rejects. She is the follower of Draupadi. So here you have the third type of woman. Okay, this is what is very typical and very identical, in the course of writing. And I hope most of the women belong to this category. The third type of women characters are the women in between, neither traditional nor rebellious. I will not ask the personal question to anybody. I don't dare to ask. Because again, it is the question of your identity. And when I am talking about identity, how can I question your identity? I can't dare to do so. Okay, so these are the three things. Now please proceed with the last slide and I conclude for the day. And this is all about what exactly is expected from the end of the society. See here, if at all you want to empower women, please look at these points. Transformation of consciousness is very, very necessary. Whatever I did today, I am just trying to make you conscious what is what and what is happening in the world of literature. Second, interdependence of women. But तुम्हाला माहिती आहे सोसायटीमध्ये who is your real enemy? Not the male, but the another female. स्त्रीची खरी सॉरी तुम्ही सगळेजण माझ्यावर अटॅक करता. मी सेफ घरी जायला पाहिजे बघा. हां, विल यू प्रॉमिस मी दॅट आय विल गो सेफ? हां, नोबडी विल टेक मी टू द कोर्ट, नोबडी टेक मी एल्सवेअर ऑल्सो. हां, या सी, एक स्त्रीच दुसऱ्या स्त्रीची शत्रू. ऑफकोर्स मेलला तर ॲडव्हान्टेजेस मिळाला अथॉरिटेटिव्ह बनण्यासाठी. सो हिअर independence of woman is necessary. Create your own independent identity, but parallelly interdependence is equally important, right? Then the opportunity to learn and earn, हे सगळ्यात महत्त्वाचं तुमच्यासाठी. All youngsters here, already we are providing you the opportunity to learn, but after learning तुम्ही काय शिकायला पाहिजे? Earning. So here, because that's what you need to earn at all conditions. Then denial of dependence and self-sacrifice. Be practical and really genuinely pragmatic. Practical and pragmatic. She cannot create any kind of world for her. Moreover, that will be the most miserable condition of her life. त्यासाठी आधी financially sound व्हा. Then collective solidarity of women for growth. आता ही तर एक common principle आहे. इकॉनॉमिक स्टॅबिलिटी अँड एक्सपोजर टू एक्सटर्नल वर्ल्ड. जोपर्यंत आपण घर सोडत नाही तोपर्यंत जग काय हे कळत नाही. विथ दिस स्टेटमेंट आय पुट अ पॉज टू माय टॉक, नॉट अ पॉज बट अ फुल स्टॉप, बिकॉज आय हॅव बीन इम्पोज्ड बाय द ऑर्गनायझर्स दॅट यू कॅनॉट ओव्हरलॅप द टाइम अलॉटेड टू. थँक्यू. या, इफ एट ऑल एनी क्वेश्चन्स आय एम ओपन टू डिस्कस. Sir, excuse me.
Good afternoon, sir. My name is Nikita. I'm doing my MA in Literature from Andhra University. Now you told the words are correct. That doesn't mean it anyway. It doesn't go very wrong. But one last message for the youngsters who are boiling up the blood sitting in front of for the ladies, working women, what to follow traditionally and Western cultures. Because the first point is that when we see physically a girl, the commenting goes on first to the costume you wear on your body wherever we go for the presentation. Like teachers, if you wear a jeans, they look at it. If you wear a sari, they look at it. As my concern, wearing a sari, it doesn't mean like a traditional or devotee. Devotee can be worshipped in the eye, the men and the mindset they are mentored for. For that, from your side, a small message to the youngsters of our girls who are married and unmarried from your side, sir. With a good, following traditionally and culturally, without despotism.
It's a good question that you asked, but I use the word in between, modernism, right? By ideas, be modern. And when it comes to your outfit, I think I cannot impose again anything. In which attire, in which dress code, in which kind of pattern you are comfortable, be with that, right? But again the question is always there, what kind of family culture, means domestic culture your father or anybody elderly person in the family has developed in the course of time. Because you cannot be straight away rebellious that I go against your stand unless you are standing on your own. So the answer is very simple. Be modern with ideas. Okay, but if you really want to understand what is modernism, learn modernism. And I said in between also, wearing the shortest of the short doesn't mean you are modern. Okay, be scientific, be practical, be pragmatic, learn what is Indian feminism, understand what is Western feminism. Western feminism is totally different than the Indian feminism. Whatever that I discussed today is leading you to the domain of Indian feminism. Okay, and your Western feminism has their own different perspectives and values are also different. So for outfits, it is your own discrimination. What is good and what is bad. But ultimately, one thing I would like to say, our society is predominantly very traditional, conservative, conventional, and we are still sticking up to the mud. Okay, still. Because I carry my own notions and I want the whole world to follow that notion. But that is not possible. See, you can change according to the world, but you cannot change the whole world according to you. So this sort of thing you need to understand. If you are in a metropolitan city, nobody will bother how do you live. But you are in a place called Udgir or Bidar or small town or some sort of city, small city, situations are totally different. Okay, so depending on the situation, you take your own stance and decision and go accordingly. I hope I am convincing. Any other question?
So where do you think the whole idea of women going against each other, where does it come from? Like, why this?
See, it is just like Durga Pehle, Anta Pehle. No one can say whether the male came in the world first or the female came in the world. Because it is all correlated, interdependent. What do you say?
So do you ever think like it's a whole like the whole idea of pitting women against each other? It's kind of a patriarchal construct because if women are against each other, then it's easier to impose patriarchy on them.
That's what I said. That is my message. That when woman is the enemy of another woman, so men are getting the advantage to rule you. That was my message actually, isn't it? So first of all, you need to have an amicable kind of understanding among yourself. If a सास अगर strengthens बहू, तो बहू भी तो सास के साथ ही रहेगी. लेकिन ये दोनों के झगड़े निपटाने में बेचारा मियाँ तो परेशान हो जाता है. If I take the stand of my mother or the side of my mother, my spouse or my wife will be against me and she will be disappointed. And if I take the side of my wife, मम्मी बोलेगी बेटा शादी होने के बाद तो तू बीवी का गुलाम होगा. It's very difficult. It's very, very difficult.
I would like to counter here. You have this problem, but when I take the side of my husband, my parents will never object to it. Right? My parents will say you are doing the right thing by deciding with your husband.
Correct.
So this is again because of this male dominated.
Good to listen to you, ma'am. This is a very good counter made by an respected man. लेकिन साथ में ही ना एक बात मैं बताना चाहूँगा. अपनी बेटी जिसका ब्याह हो चुका है, उसके लिए अलग स्टैंडर्ड और जो बेटी अपने बेटे के लिए ब्याह कर अपने घर आई है, उसके लिए अलग स्टैंडर्ड. डू यू फाइंड इट? डू यू फाइंड इट और नॉट? वो जो माँ है अपनी बेटी के लिए अलग चीजें बताती है और वही माँ है ना, मतलब अपनी बेटी जो है वो चाहे जो करे, ऑलवेज सपोर्टेड बाय मदर, बट द सेम मदर उसकी बहू अगर कुछ और स्टैंड ले ले तो इसको मतलब खाना हजम नहीं होता. तो ये see these are the social issues. It will never have the answer. Only one answer is it's better the male keep quiet, let whole female world